You're listening to the Catholic Men of America podcast. Catholic Men of America is a professional business fraternity for Catholic men, and membership is free. Join us at CatholicMenofAmerica.com, and you'll benefit from networking and mentorship opportunities, find better employment, learn how to grow your business more quickly, and grow in virtue. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
The National Men's Conference has become the Super Bowl for all men's conferences and men's groups nationwide. It's become the flagship men's conference where men from all over the country come together, meet each other, share best practices, network to find resources and better solutions for their needs, while at the same time, enjoying some of the world's best motivational speakers. This conference was created to focus on all men of Christ's Church, equipping them with the means and resources necessary to carry out His work. Christian leaders of all kinds flock to this event. It is one time a year Christ's leaders make time to get together and energize each other in the same place. This conference is about you. Improving your approach to life physically and mentally, making you the best version of yourself you can be. There is no better investment you could make for your family, or for yourself, than to attend this conference. Visit nationalmensconference.com today. Today on the podcast, Catholic Men of America co-founder Jeff Kassman interviews Joe Condit. Joe is a cradle Catholic and a successful entrepreneur. His family has been a leader in pro-life circles for decades. Today Joe joins the podcast to share some exciting information about the upcoming National Men's Conference.
Welcome to Catholic Men of America. And today I've got a special guest with me, Joe Condit. Joe, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff.
You and I first connected a few years ago, and there are a lot of things I think we could be talking about, you and I. You've got a lot of neat things going on in your life. You've got a neat family history that I'd love for you to share with our audience at some point. Before we dive into our main topic for today, tell me just a little bit about yourself, the personal side and the professional side.
Yeah, well, thanks, Jeff. And, it's I've been very blessed. I was born into a big Catholic family. Cincinnati, Ohio is where I grew up. I'm one of 5 or 6 kids, so I have 5 siblings, one of 61 grandchildren on my dad's side, one of about 30 on my mom's. So we kind of learned how to get along with people real quick. And, they instilled the faith in us. And, I have that American story. I was so blessed that God gave me that kind of a family, but then went on, and when I went to college, kind of fell away from my faith for a while and kind of reverted back to my Catholic faith after several incidences that affected my life. So, that kind of a high level of my background faith-wise, I definitely was probably one of the most fortunate people to be born into the family I was. And then from a professional standpoint, I went to an all-boys high school in Cincinnati called LaSalle High School. But then went on to Miami of Ohio, which is college in Oxford, located in Oxford, Ohio. Sometimes people mix it up and think it's Miami, Florida. After that, I went on to work for a major corporation called Cintas for a year, and then started my own business shortly thereafter. As my secular businesses started working, I felt a call as I started reverting back to my faith to try and make the world a better place. And in my own little pathetic, effort, lo and behold, the good Lord works through fools, as they say, or, he works through anybody. And I had an idea for a Catholic talent agency. And today, as I'm sitting on this call with you, with the Catholic Men of America, we're the largest Catholic focused talent agency in the world. We represent over 400 diocesan approved Catholic speakers. These consist of musicians, pro athletes, movie stars, professional team owners, down to a professional entrepreneur, to someone that does it full time just as a ministry, goes from church to church. So CatholicSpeakers.com is the website, and it's just been an unbelievable connection for me. And that's how I'm on this call with you. When I learned of you and we got together 2 years ago, and the work that you're doing with Catholic Men of America, I mean, it's amazing, and so that's overall 100,000 foot square or level of both my professional and personal life there.
Great. Thank you for that background. Now, the reason that you and I are getting together today is that we are talking about the National Men's Conference. Tell us what that's all about.
Well, we are so fortunate. I revived the Cincinnati Men's Conference. Now, this is a fun fact. The Cincinnati Men's Conference was the first Catholic event ever in the history of the United States. It happened in 1994. So the idea where a Catholic audience or brothers in Christ would come and hear a professional speaker and motivate them. The first one ever, Cincinnati, Ohio, which is my hometown where I grew up, 1994. One of the original founders is still my mentor today. in his young age of 89, I think he is at this point. So it died in 2011. And as the speaker bureau, CatholicSpeakers.com, as I discussed earlier, started growing and growing, I felt like I needed to do more. So I marched into my Archbishop's office and I said, I'd like to bring back the godfather of them all, the number one Catholic men's conference, which, as we all know today, now has spawned into women's conferences, family conferences, any Catholic conference has Cincinnati to thank. So the Archbishop gave me his blessing, and in 2018, we brought it back. Boss Rutan, actually, the UFC fighter, first time ever he went public on his conversion story. He was my headline speaker. It was unbelievable, to about 2,000 people in a place called Taft Theater. As we grew and grew and grew, we decided that we needed to bring Cincinnati back to what it originally was. 15,000 dudes from all over the country in the 90s used to come there. And we realize now that there's a lot of guys out there like you, Jeff, who are running and organizing incredible organizations that are affecting men to become better Catholics, better leaders, better people for their family. And there isn't really a place where all of them can count on to come together. There are different retreats, there are different events, don't get me wrong, because we book speakers with all of them. But this event now, which was the Cincinnati Men's Conference, I've rebranded to the National Catholic Men's Conference. And it is at least one time a year, a father and a son, a Catholic leader can come together and know that they're going to come to an arena full of other like-minded men to network, share best practices, share resources, meet each other. And oh, by the way, here's some great speakers, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute. But it really is about us, Jeff, guys like you, getting exposure and building a platform, which we have, to expose Catholic men of America, to let guys out there know that these resources exist. And that is done by our one-day event, and then showing the men, getting them together. As you know, getting men together, God takes it from there. You can never know, or we can't even see today what's going to happen at this event, like the one last year where we had Jim Caviezel and Raymond DeRoya and David B. right for 40 Days for Life. We'd 3,500 plus men. I think we're at 4,000 if we counted the tickets we gave away. That came and enjoyed an incredible day. So that's kind of the background on what we're doing, why we're on this call today. And I'm just very excited to encourage every man watching this, every woman, to invest in their man and get a ticket for March 25th at the National Men's Conference. The website is National Men's Conference. It is the National Catholic Men's Conference. It is made by Catholics, but it's intended for all men. Doesn't matter what faith you are. Doesn't matter where you are with your walk with Christ. We want all men to come and join their Catholic brothers at an incredible day of inspiration and spiritual growth.
Well, that's great of you to be ecumenical and all. We hear all the time how we're supposed to be that way. So I'm glad you're inviting the non-Catholic men as well. You did mention women, and I want to touch on that because one of the surprising points of resistance that I've gotten in the last 2 years for Catholic Men of America was both men and women saying, "Well, why don't you let women in?" And I never thought that was going to be an obstacle. I thought, well, gosh, the women have got everything, right? They've got all their special conferences. They've got all their things for women. It seemed to me, at least a couple of years ago, that there weren't that many options for men. Of course, now it's risky politically even to kind of make that distinction that men and women are different. Got anything to say about that?
I've got a lot to say about that. And I'll start at the end of your comment. You know, whenever we run ads on big tech for our men's conference, we're flagged as hate speech and discriminatory. Hate speech because pro-life is sometimes mentioned in it, and then discriminatory because women are not allowed, it's intended only for men. So very bizarre times we live in, Jeff. I get asked this all the time. Why are you not letting women? I mean, think about the speakers we've had in the past. Jim Caviezel, now Jonathan Roomie, which is going to be the headliner this year.
Well, of course, you mentioned those names. Of course, the women are going to be angry that they can't get in, right? Because
and I say this very humbly because it's fun to joke about that because they're bona fide movie stars. I mean, these guys are artists. They're very appealing to the human race. But believe it or not, the most women we've ever had sign up was in 2020 when I did not back down on the COVID. I said, no, we're still going to have a men's conference and we're going to do it virtual. And our headline speaker that year was Father Mike Schmitz, and his podcast at the time legitimately was more popular than Joe Rogan. So he had the number one podcast in the world.
Wow.
And we had probably 7 times women sign up virtually to watch a men's conference. So why do I say that? Because women are the driver behind men. God knew that we needed them, And why are women not invited? That's the wrong question. That's the wrong question about this event. And that's the wrong question about your initiatives with Catholic Men of America. It isn't that women aren't invited. The whole reason we men do this is for women, right? We are going to a place to sharpen ourselves together, to have a place where we can be vulnerable, to have a place where we can find resources for men to help sharpen men. The Bible talks about it. And the whole reason we do that is to be better men of faith for God. And right behind that is for women. When a woman walks into a room, whether it be church or an event, or the atmosphere changes. And any male that would tell you otherwise would not be completely honest. So having a place where men can come, be vulnerable, help each other for the ultimate goal to be better for their women, that's what we're trying to do. That's our mission. And the Bible calls us men to do that. Iron sharpens iron. Look that up, of course. We have to do it together. We have to do it in a place where men feel comfortable, in a place where we can share openly. You know, it's hard to share when women are involved in a room. It's hard to be completely vulnerable at that point, because whether someone's going to be intellectually honest with you or not, a woman changes the atmosphere, like I said. So again, the question of why are women not invited, that's not the right question. It's the question for what you're doing, Jeff, and what we're doing with the National Men's Conference is, how are we able to achieve making our men better for our women? You know, of course, God is the focal point, but family and faith are right there next to it. And that's why we believe that men do need an outlet with each other to become better and fight as warriors together to become better for Christ, which in turn will make them better men for the women.
I appreciate that explanation. Was there, you mentioned that the conference kind of went to purgatory for a while. Was there a defining moment or something that happened in your life or in the world that made you think about bringing this back? I think you said in 2018. Is there a backstory to that you can share with us?
You know, Jeff, it's wild. It'll probably take another episode, but yes, I mean, I was let's see, I became awarded an award for being an entrepreneur, and then I became a 40 under 40 candidate, and I got an award for my city of Cincinnati, and things just started snowballing. And as I've started gaining success, I started losing the focal point of life, and that's God, you know. And I started focusing on the golden calf, let's say, and not on my prayer life. You know, drinking the Kool-Aid is upcoming tech company that I had built, and lo and behold, a lot of it came crashing. We made it through it. We made it through it even stronger. But and I got to be very careful about names here, but it's part of my life where my business partner at the time allegedly pulled off the largest Ponzi scheme in American business history, only to be beat by Bernie Madoff about 2 months later. So my life got changed quick. This was just one of the things that happened that made me kind of start rethinking the way that I was living. And it also was a key ingredient to me finishing my faith, or getting back into my faith. I mean, when I had to move back with my father, who was so supportive of me, because I didn't have any money. Some money went away at the time, and you know, I had to move back with your dad as a mid-20s. I also had to
that's a humbling experience, right?
Very humbling, yeah. And it's, you know, it's something that I love sharing, because whether not everybody has such an extreme experience as I did, but everyone has had a similar experience in their own right? Where you've overcome adversity, where something came out of nowhere and your whole trajectory of what you were on needed to be revised or revisited. And thank God that he gave me the grace to see what I now see was definitely happening, where he was just kind of hitting me upside the head saying, hey, I didn't let you be born into the amazing family I did, live in one of the best countries in the world, to live the way that you're living, you know. And I wasn't a bad guy. I wasn't like, do it. But, you know, I wasn't going to church on Sunday all the time either, you know. So just as a young 20s kid, just buying into that whole .com era and drinking the Kool-Aid, and, you know. So I make fun of myself now, Jeff. I mean, it's kind of funny to talk about. But it's wild to think, had it not been for Bernie, my business partner would be the household name that you know. And when that all happened, I mean, there were a lot of people getting slapped with jail time and threats of jail time, you know, bank accounts frozen. So it made me really think and force myself to kind of look around my own world. And the at that time I had already started the Speakers Bureau, but I decided to triple down on it and try and make it more efficient, make it more accessible, because I knew that the people that I was working with, the professional Catholic speakers of the world, that we represent, are out preaching the word of God. And that was a great way for me to evangelize as well, by helping them reach folks. So, that would probably be the marquee. There's a ton of other, incidences that kind of would be ingredients to the whole entire recipe. But that incident was actually kind of as they say, the straw that broke the camel's back, that made me have to really think and stop and start really digging back into my faith and leaning on God. In times like that, it can be very scary. And it's sad that, you hear a lot of these stories. It is sad that extreme bad circumstances bring us back to God. I wish I had a story of joyfulness, which I try and do now every day. Be joyful for what he's given me, be thankful for what he's granted me with. So yeah, there's just a lot of things that came out of that. So that's kind of the reason that I kind of got back into working, focusing on the ministry that I had started.
The National Men's Conference meets in Cincinnati on March 25th. The keynote speaker is Jonathan Roomie, famous for his portrayal of our Lord in the hit TV show, The Chosen. Also speaking is the Archduke of Austria, His Royal Highness Christian Habsburg Lorraine. He is the grandson of Blessed Karl of Austria. These are just a few of the inspiring men you'll get to meet at the conference. Join us in Cincinnati on March 25th. For tickets, visit nationalmensconference.com.
I appreciate you sharing that, because I talk to a lot of men on a regular basis, and every now and then somebody starts to share a story, and oftentimes those guys are they're embarrassed, or they're afraid, or they're living in a state of despair, even because something bad has gone on in their life, and they're trying to come to grips with it, and they don't want to talk to anybody about it. And they're deathly afraid that people are going to find out about whatever it might be. And it might be that they got fired from their job. It might be they've got a problem in their marriage. It might be that they've got an addiction, or they're just struggling with their faith, and they're worried about talking about it. And they're worried about losing the respect of their family, their friends, perhaps society at large. And yet, I think you'll agree with this, almost every great man has had they've had some failings, they've had some embarrassing episodes in their life. And I don't think we need to go through all those names. If you've studied any history, whether we're talking about Catholic history or secular history, those careers and those lives have usually been marked by some hardship, sometimes self-inflicted. That's been my case. I had every advantage in life, as you have with your great family, growing up in a Catholic family. Many times they're self-inflicted. Other times it just, stuff happens. And it's not that it happens. It's not that you get knocked down, of course, to repeat the cliche. It's whether you get back up, and whether you come out of that adversity stronger and wiser and perhaps humbled and maybe grateful, or whether you kind of adopt that woe is me victim mentality, which does seem to kind of dominate our culture right now.
You nailed it.
Perhaps that's a lead in to talk about your speakers. You already have kind of name dropped a few of them. Tell us a little bit about who's going to be there.
Well, the men need to know this, because this is the best part about it, other than other men coming to meet guys like you, so they can know that, going off of what you just answered and said there, they can know there's guys out there that are in the exact same situation they are. Guys are running organizations that are having struggles, and they need to come together and meet each other. That's what this is all about. So Jonathan Roomie of The Chosen, apparently 1 billion people, which would be 1/8 of the world or 1/7 of the world, whatever many think people are on this earth, have seen his show, The Chosen. And Wow. He's doing very rare appearances. I think he's doing maybe a handful of speaking events or speaking engagements this year. I was lucky enough for him to choose me as one of them. I mean, just by the grace of God. So they're shooting season 4 of The Chosen this year. That's where his focus is. But Jonathan Roomie is going to come and give a talk about him. Think about this. Have we ever heard of Jonathan Roomie even last year? No. Definitely didn't hear about him 10 years ago or 15 years ago. He's going to talk about surrender. And kind of like my story from the tech side, his story from the movie side, when he finally just gave it all to God and stopped doing what Jonathan wanted and surrendered his entire life. Now he's one of the biggest he's arguably the biggest Christian movie star going today. I mean, you got Mel Gibson, Jim Caviezel, Mark Wahlberg. That's it, and then there's some other guys that are Catholic, but from a Catholic perspective, Jonathan Roomie is by far the dominant Christian figure today with The Chosen. And so he's going to come and talk about surrender, which every man needs to do. Jeff, to your point, you can take bad situations and either you can take them and make them good or bad, right? You can either fall and to our own egos and turn that into woe is me, or you can humble yourself and understand that we are human, no matter how big and bad you think you are, and that God's always in control. And so Jonathan's going to talk about that. He's going to talk about his path as an actor, and then finally finding his place in the theme of the conference is our role in the body of Christ. So he's going to talk about that, how he found his role, as Jonathan Roomie, as acting as Jesus on The Chosen. Right next to him, Jeff, which I think is just as equally a big a story, is His Royal Highness, the Archduke Christian Habsburg Lorraine of Austria, is coming to give his first talk ever in the United States. And he chose this conference to do it.
How did you manage to pull that off? I mean, those are
Jeff, I meet guys like you, the good Lord. I mean, how did you and I meet, right? Like people, people ask me, how did you get over 400 people in your speakers bureau? How'd you get, I started back in the day when Father John Carapi was huge. I was able to book him, and then with Matthew Kelly, and then, we worked with Scott Hahn off and on. We did Lila Rose, we got to work with, and all these people, and it's, the answer is the good Lord, when your heart and you're trying to follow his will, no matter what your talents are, I believe that he truly does open doors that are miraculous, but that would be the real answer. The quick answer is, the Henry brothers, Lorenzo Henry and David Henry, who are very famous movie stars, do a lot of great work in their own right. David, in fact, is probably one of the most famous movie stars in Gen Z, early millennial, because he was on the Disney Channel every day with Selena Gomez. So those two are just crazy good Catholic guys, just so on fire with their faith, trying to lead the world with good movies. They're actually thinking about doing a movie about His Royal Highness Archduke Christian's grandfather. Spoiler alert for those that you don't know, and we'll be hearing about this at the conference, so make sure you're there. But his grandfather is Blessed Karl. Blessed Karl, if you don't know who that is, the last reigning Catholic king of Austria. Now, this family line was the original cancel culture family. Like, they were the original family canceled because of their Christian beliefs. Way back when Blessed Karl was alive and trying to lead his country of Austria in a Catholic way. So the Archduke, His Royal Highness, is going to come, grace us with his presence in Cincinnati, Ohio, his first talk ever on March 25th, and talk to us about legacy. Talk to us about being a good Catholic leader in the face of adversity. Talk to us about how do you pass on the tradition of your faith in a high-profile family. And you don't even have to be a high-profile family. If any family that has legacy, right, that you want to carry that on in the right way under God's law and under his truth. So we're really excited about that. I mean, the conference is going to make history with him being there. And it's just something unique. We try and do something unique every year, which we've done since 2018. And that's going to be one of them. Right behind him, we have both bishops in Ohio, the Archbishop of Cincinnati, who's going to say Mass and give a homily. Then newly ordained Bishop Earl Fernandez. Guys, and also gals, if you're watching, just Google Bishop Earl Fernandez of Columbus, Ohio. My personal opinion, one of the best speakers as a clergy in the United States today. The guy is just brilliant. And he's very articulate, unlike me, very articulate. He never does the just, you can tell the guy has a spiritual element to him in his being, in his fiber, that's just a gift from God. So you're going to have clergy there. We're then going to have an NFL discussion panel. Jeff, the men are going to love this. I went out and chose offensive linemen on purpose. So we're going to have an offensive lineman discussion panel. Ted Karras, who protects the best quarterback in the NFL, Joe Burrow. Not going to say that we're trying to convince him to get Joey to show up, maybe surprise, but can't confirm or deny that. But Ted's going to be there. He's going to be there with Joe Reitz. If you ever heard of Joe Reitz, Joe played for the Indianapolis Colts. He protected Peyton Manning. These guys are just top in the world, right? And the reason I got them is because there's an underlying culture with linemen. And they'll tell you this, that St. Joseph is their unofficial, of course, not deemed by the church, but their unofficial patron saint. So I'm going to get guys that are going to come together to talk about They do the work. They don't get all the credit all the time. They humbly get it done, though, and they have some of the hardest work, and they protect the most important thing in the game, the football and the quarterback. We're going to circle that back around with the guys about being an offensive lineman, being as St. Joseph did, and protect the two most important things in our game, our faith and our family. So we're doing all kinds of different things like that, where we're trying to pull in a lot of unique experiences. There's going to be a lot of fireside chats and also some surprise speakers that people are going to want to be in that room, because it's going to be pretty unbelievable.
Great. You've also got Father Spitzer, I think, is going to speak. That's kind of a risky move, bringing a Jesuit in, isn't it?
Well, we are having the event at the Jesuit College of Xavier University. But no, I know you and I are saying this tongue in cheek, but if you've ever gotten to see Father Spitzer speak in person, it is a life-changing event. I mean, this guy, from what I've been told and what it seems like, has a photographic memory. I mean, he's just unbelievably intelligent. And yeah, I mean, I thought I had mentioned Father Robert Spitzer, but just really the lineup of this event is so miraculous, and we have so many heavy hitters. It's just, people ask me, how'd you do it? I did it, but I didn't do it. It was really the work of the Holy Ghost, like just bringing these people together and saying yes. So, but yeah, Father Robert Spitzer, we're going to ask him to not only talk about being a good leader as a man and being a good family leader, finding your role as a man in your family and in life, but also kind of dive into the science a little bit and hit some of those hot topics that plague our kids, that really challenge their faith, about science and religion and God is real or God's not real and things of that nature. So we're really excited about him being there as well. Yeah,
that's he's got quite the reputation for his intellect, and I think he debated Stephen Hawking at one point, and of course the Jesuits have a long history of being leaders in science, right? So that's pretty neat, nice addition. What is this dad discount that I read about on the site?
I love that you asked about that. So right on the homepage, any father will see we've actually made a dad challenge, and the challenge is you need to instill this conference as a tradition for you and your son to do every year, to bond together, to grow in faith. There's no better event you can go to. There's not a sporting event. There's not a theater. This is the best event you can do and invest in. Invest in your son, because we're creating a movement with this, Jeff. It's a culture, not just an event, right? So the dad challenge is, we recognize that some Catholic fathers might have more than one son, and I don't want them to be deterred from coming because of price. So we gave significant discounts to the dad who has 3 or 4 sons that he wants to bring. And so his sons will get significant discounts on their tickets, making it much, much, much more affordable. But, if you look at our tickets, you're getting an all-day event, these amazing speakers we've been talking about. We still haven't talked about all of them. Breakfast and lunch, and a time to bond with your sons and your friends and your brothers. I think the most expensive ticket we made this year was $60. I mean, I know for a fact in my hometown of Cincinnati, nosebleeds, the Bengals game is $250 plus $9 a beer. Yeah. So when you put it in perspective, we actually are well beyond cheap, but offering a much better experience, and quite frankly, a more wholesome and valuable experience to all your eternity.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable price, and great to have the discount in place. As we're wrapping up, you've got some neat sponsors listed as well. Do you want to mention a few of those folks?
I do. We've had sponsors that have supported us since 2018. I want to talk about, but I first want to talk about the grace of God, Give, Send, Go, that just came out of nowhere. These amazing sibling duo, Heather and Jacob, founded Give, Send, Go. Their competitor, I will not say their name. Everyone's heard of them, but I've been discriminated against by their competitor personally, and all my speakers have, because of our Christian beliefs. Give, Send, Go is a giving platform. Basically, you want to raise money for a great initiative, go to Give, Send, Go, set up an account. People can instantly start donating towards your cause. In their mission statement, they mention God. I mean, these people are unbelievable. It's an amazing company. I encourage everyone right now to go to Give, Send, Go and just read about the company and the founders. There is no other company in the world that should be used when it comes to giving or raising money than them. So they came in as our title sponsor this year, and then just their culture and the people they are is even more impressive than the product they built, which is insanely impressive.
Yeah.
Next to them, we have Rural Woods. a longtime supporter of ours out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Tony Moss. He is the president and CEO of JTM Food Group. He did Ruo Woods, which a lot of folks have heard of. It's his ministry. He started it, probably early 2000s, late 90s. I could be wrong, but they focus on theology of the body. And also he's created a Catholic psychologist kind of psyche help center. So those that need to go talk to somebody, they can go talk to a professionally trained PhD or what have you. That's a Catholic. So you have Ruo Woods. And then next to that, we have Solidarity Health Share, Chris Faddis and Brad over at Solidarity, the founders. They're just incredible. They supported us. They, in fact, were our first sponsor ever when I brought the event back. So, those three right there, you have some of the biggest heavy hitting Catholic initiative companies in the country. So, and we have a bunch of other sponsors as well, which you'll be able to see on our website. We partnered with Catholic Men's Leadership Alliance to give men, and like want to bring you in as well, Jeff, with Catholic Men of America, to give men 364-day solutions to how they can better themselves in their faith, get more active, etc. Right? So that's, with Catholic Men of America and the Catholic Men's Leadership Alliance, we're pulling partners like you all in together to really give men meat to this bone. Whereas before, when we started 2018, it was, hey, thanks for coming. We'll see you next year. Now it's, hey, we built a technology to make sure you all stay safe. So if you don't mind me real quick, if you go to the website at nationalmensconference.com, you get all the information and tickets. But we also built a first of its kind technology that operates just like Facebook. Myself and my organization own it. Facebook has nothing to do with it, but it operates like it so men would know. So you can get on there right now and start connecting with sponsors, other people. We are giving men the ability to be more connected with each other than ever before based on an event like this, like the National Men's Conference. So men will be able to actually in real time ask questions to speakers during the event. They're going to be able to real time post their takeaways from any talk. So now instead of the notes just getting in a folder that they'll probably lose in 3 years, they can press submit and it will go up for everyone to see. That's there in the arena and watching virtually. So we're doing a lot to keep men connected. And we're thinking well far beyond just the event itself. The event is a reason for us to get together in person, which there's nothing that comes close or compares to that. But we're also giving all the resources like Catholic Men of America, like the Catholic Men's Leadership Alliance. And all of these speakers will have their own groups on this technology. And all the men that anyone that buys a ticket, we're making sure that they get on there and create their profile so they can start networking and getting involved in it right away. So yeah, we're thankful to our sponsors, and we have hundreds of other sponsors as well, which I said, I wish we had time to mention everyone, but you can definitely see them on our website. People that have donated over the years, putting them all together since 2018. So we definitely have not done this by ourselves, Jeff. It's people like you and people like them that are really making this event become what it is.
Great stuff. You've covered a lot of ground quickly, and I appreciate that. We live in a difficult time for men, and especially for Catholic men, as the civilization seems to not just be crumbling, but falling in on the traditional ideas of masculinity and of leadership, and certainly of faith. And so I think what you're doing is perfectly timed. I hope that everyone that's listening will go visit your site, buy tickets if possible, donate if they can't. Any final things that you want to say before we wrap it up?
Oh, Jeff, thanks for having me on. I mean, it's just such an awesome opportunity to have one-on-one time with the Catholic Men of America. We hope every man grabs the men in their family. Every woman invests in them, get some tickets to come to the National Men's Conference. It's, again, the website, nationalmensconference.com. Tickets, information. It's March 25th, in about a month from now. It's happening in Cincinnati, Ohio. We're calling all Catholic leaders like the Catholic Men of America to come and network and join hands and see each other and be in the same room. And, God takes it from there. The event can be viewed virtually. So we're having a lot of women's groups all over the world actually going to have watch parties in their own homes or at their own parish. So we've had tickets virtually bought from all the way in Australia. So we're legitimately global. We're actually going to mention them when they're watching. And we've also had in-person tickets already bought from Phoenix to Baltimore. So we're just hoping that we fill this arena of 10,000 men and really make a statement for Christ and bring really good guys together. Because when that happens, that's when the real magic is. That's nothing that I could ever plan for. The good Lord takes over, and that's why we do this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Thanks for putting this on. Thanks for joining us. We'll help get the word out, and I look forward to seeing you in Cincinnati.
Jeff, thank you. Great. Love to hear that. And thank you for all the work you're doing with Catholic Men of America. It's you're a blessed man, and you're sharing your gifts. God bless you for hearing that and being courageous to do it.
Thanks for being with us, Joe. Have a great day.
God bless.
Thank you for joining us today. You've been listening to Jeff Kassman interview Joe Condit. Joe is a lifelong Catholic, a successful entrepreneur and the founder of the Catholic Speakers Bureau and the force behind the National Men's Conference. Learn more at nationalmensconference.com. The National Men's Conference has become the Super Bowl for all men's conferences and men's groups nationwide. It's become the flagship men's conference where men from all over the country come together, meet each other, share best practices, network to find resources and better solutions for their needs, while at the same time, enjoying some of the world's best motivational speakers. This conference was created to focus on all men of Christ's Church, equipping them with the means and resources necessary to carry out His work. Christian leaders of all kinds flock to this event. It is one time a year Christ's leaders make time to get together and energize each other in the same place. This conference is about you. Improving your approach to life physically and mentally, making you the best version of yourself you can be. There is no better investment you could make for your family, or for yourself, than to attend this conference. Visit nationalmensconference.com today.
You've been listening to the Catholic Men of America podcast. Catholic Men of America is a professional business fraternity for Catholic men, and membership is free. Join us at catholicmenofamerica.com, and you'll benefit from networking and mentorship opportunities, find better employment, learn how to grow your business more quickly, and grow in virtue. Don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.